when I was of his age, I don't know what I was doing. I was wondering in the college actually. Anyways, so he's having an interesting profile. He tells himself he's a multifunctional developer. What does that mean?
Well, multifunctional means that you are pretty much handling everything. You are thinking about your team and you are thinking about your solutions. That covers pretty much the most aspects of your developer life.
Yeah, that's great. And he's going to talk on one of the most interesting part, which is in talk of the town since 2 years, PWA, right?
Yeah.
So he's from ScandiPWA, and since he was 11, he started coding, and at 16 he joined ScandiWeb, and now at his 18 he's presenting to meet Magento India. Amazing. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's a real pleasure to meet you. The first thing I need to get is the remote, and I need to check if I'm able to go back. Am I? Am I indeed? Why? Because I'm common to press buttons accidentally. Well, hello guys, it's a pleasure once again to meet here and to meet you here. And our talk today is about the largest PWA shop, which we recently launched. And the key difference here is that it's Magento and PWA. Well, what's your biggest store? Because we claim the biggest in the world, so let's compare. Guys, I want someone of you to tell me, what's your biggest store? How many products you had? 1 million? Maybe 2 million? Can I hear someone from you?
1 million.
1 billion?
1 million.
Amazing. So I believe next time, it should be you on stage, not me. Because it's a different scale, man. Much smaller. Well, basically, meet our client, the Technodome. These guys are mid-Asian reseller of electronics, and you can see their color. It's pretty cool. It's the same shade of the color as the Magento. It's a coincidence, but it's funny coincidence. And those guys, they're huge. They make $1 billion per revenue annually, and 25% of it comes from the online sources. And those guys have 10 years of experience in their business, basically, and throughout these years, they employed 10,000 of people. And this business is well established and growing. So those guys are not the guys who are ready to take the risk. Or are they? How dare those guys go for such an experimental solution, for a technical experiment, PWA and Magento? Well, let's find out. And the first thing is, they were ready to risk. And they were ready to risk. This means that basically, they went for a risk for a reason, because it was their strategy. They wanted to evolve, they wanted to grow, and in order to do it, they wanted to have a solid foundation. And to have this solid foundation, you need to have a very reliable tools, like Magento is. And for a front end, you need something that will work for future, and that's something which is a mobile based, because currently users are seeking the experience and it's important to provide them with one. So they want this PWA. So now they want their tech stack, the Magento and PWA. So where can we find the implementations for it? Well, there are multiple. There are Vue Storefront, there are Devante solution, there is a PWA Studio, and there are ScandiPWA. And we haven't chosen this solution. This solution was chosen by Technodome on their own. They just approached us later on with advice. But I will tell you about the story later. Well, why they chose PWA, ScandiPWA? Well, first of all, because they were able to set up the demo for their stakeholders in a matter of days. Basically, they looked for a demo, and guys, I have no paper with me, but we have this flyer, yeah, which was in our stand, and it had a QR code there. And this QR code, that leads to the demo page of ScandiPWA. Well, it's the same demo that the Technodome client some time ago discovered. And now you can experience the same, what he did. But the difference is that he took this Magento and he just put his own products in it and showed this to the stakeholders. And this took him a few days. And this showcased both the cost efficiency of this solution and the ability to easily customize it. And the clients and the stakeholders were really happy. So the only thing they were left to do is to come to the website of ScandiPWA and search for a partner. And turns out we were the closest to their headquarters, so they chose us. Well, we're happy to have our client. We are celebrating, but that's not as great, because the next comes the hard work, the unexplored part of this journey. Well, why? Why the hard part? Well, because me coming from the Magento agency, I don't know what the React and GraphQL really is. It's new, it's an alien technology for me, and I'm always afraid. But what ScandiPWA made simple is to learn, because instead of going with a most recent and relevant and the best possible practices in React, we made it so you, as a developer, will be able to quickly learn it. So the learning curve will take you a week or two, and then you will be able to deliver. It's the same practices as you use in the normal theme extension. You just copy your files and extend them. Basically, it's very simple. You don't need to edit the source code. It's just a fallback to the vendor theme. Well, you start customizing it. In the first weeks, you are expected to break the user experience. And if you are starting with a product which has a great user experience from the very beginning, it's expected that you will break it, because you're not perfect. And the polishing always takes time in the last minutes of your project. And the performance, the same thing. You implement a new feature on the backend and it breaks your performance entirely. Well, at some point we had a 20-second load of a category. Guys, could you imagine? Do you think it's normal? I think it's not normal. So the category should load faster. And in the end of this project, we had a sub-second load of a category. Not 20 seconds, not 1 second, but less than a second for a category page of 24 products, which could be configurable, whatever. And that's with a pure Magento, because ScandiPWA, by design, is Magento themed. So it uses Magento and Magento only for its calculations. And then the SEO challenge. Well, the search engine optimization is important for every client. And the URL structures, everything needs to be customized. So the theme should support it. And we are all familiar with Magento routing. But what about the React? How we make the URLs work in React? Well, you need to have a good abstraction for it. So as a solution, the ScandiPWA provided it. So we were really happy to work with it. And then the crawlers, well, a big issue which we don't recognize immediately when thinking about PWA is that the crawlers won't be able to easily parse your content. You need to pre-render it. You need to do something to get this HTML up and given to the crawler. And there might be some challenges which we will talk about later. And then the big store problems. Well, if we consider the scale of this project and the unique aspect of it, because there are no such scale alternatives at the moment, we have some big store problems. But let's first define what does the big store problem really is. Well, how big is our store? It has a 60,000 of SKUs across the multiplied by 35 websites. And this means that basically we have somewhere around 2 million of products which have a 15,000 attributes in total. And as you know, Magento could have a little issues running more attributes than usual. So a little small but very important optimizations have to be done on that side as well. Also, we have 87 real-time stock sources, which mean that we have to update and keep our product pages always up to date, because our clients, they are coming and they are trying to check, is this product available in their nearest store, etc., etc. So this is very important. And for this, we need something very special to happen. We need to have only one data source, because otherwise the synchronization could take time, and the implementation of this mechanism to synchronize the stocks, it could be a real pain for you, especially if you are doing this from scratch. And then the cherry on top of this all is that we need to leverage a freaking high load, which is 15,000 of customers concurrently working, concurrently browsing the website. And on top of it, you need to leverage this 2 weeks after the release. So it's this business, what do you think? 2 weeks after release and they are putting the Black Friday on it? They could lose a lot of money, don't you think? So that's a really high risk. And they were common to generate 250 requests per second. But because we were building a foundation, not a solution to current problem, we needed to dream more. We needed to have we needed to stress test this solution much better. So basically we doubled the amount and planned for 500 requests per second. How? This is not simple GET request or READ request. we were testing both read-writes while running the indexers on the Magento database and the Magento itself, plus synchronizing the stocks. Because this is the exact situation what will happen on Black Friday. And if we fail, basically the customer will consider this project as a fail. Because if you cannot deliver, well, you're pretty much, you know this word, yeah? Then how did PWA scale? How did this felt at such scale? Well, turns out it was really easy, because out of 6 months of this project delivery, 2 were spent delivering PWA part, and 4 other months were spent on ERP integration, PIM integration, because in the end of the day, it was a migration from Hybris to Magento plus Actineo. Well, yeah, so here we go. But how we were able to achieve such quick implementation, only 2 months? Well, that's because the key features of Magento were already there. The solution that we had this already implemented and thought beforehand. Well, the multi-store, the multi-currency, the CMS blocks, the widgets, everything is there, and it's working out of the box. So basically, you can take your normal Magento instance and use it as your theme right away. ScandiPWA as your theme. And then the Magento GraphQL. I want to thank Magento for bringing the GraphQL in. It's the best present they could give to me. Because when combined with Varnish, it really can achieve the amazing results. You no longer need to handle this full-page cache problem when you consider that if you change a product, all pages containing this product would flash, and then you need to request additional categories and blah, blah, blah. What was on those pages? Now we can simply leverage this data by decoupling it one from another. Now your data is cached separately, so if you change one product, you will only regenerate those products with those data sources where this product was returned. And this means we are really effective in terms of performance, because now we load Magento much less. And then comes the data integrity. Now we can simply leverage this data by decoupling it one from another. Now your data is cached separately, so if you change one product, you will only regenerate those products with those data sources where this product was returned. And this means we are really effective in terms of performance, because now we load Magento much less. And then comes the data integrity, which is by design in the solution chosen by client. Once again, I have already mentioned that for stocks and for a real big amount of integrations into Magento, once again, the PIM system, it still puts all the products into the Magento. Imagine us trying to synchronize the Magento and the middleware layer, which could be possible there. So it would be real hard, and we would need to put additional resources into it. We didn't have this resources. The customer chose this because this was a cost-efficient solution, finally, in the end of the day. Well, so the Magento as a data source is really important for this project, because we're dealing with the usual Magento issues and not the issues with our middlewares or any layers in between us and Magento. Well, guess what the biggest fail of us was? It's the crawlers. Well, the crawlers are complex, but, well, how you optimize this PWA for it, how you optimize the client-side rendered application for it. You need to leverage a pre-render solution. Well, Google recommends you render crawl or pre-render, but then when you try to use it on this scale, we have 1 million of URLs which has to be crawled. And then you consider that this HTML, it has to be generated by a real browser. So which means that the browser should be started, and then the URL should be opened, and then the HTML should be got from it. And if you consider this operation, it's pretty heavy, so you need some good calculation to do it. But then you also add that you cannot really cache it with your normal solution, so Varnish won't work because it uses in-memory cache, and the amount of content we need to cache here, it's freaking a ton. So basically 1 million of URLs multiplied by the HTML amount we needed to cache. Yeah, that's challenging, and that's what we needed to think about. And then you add the 15 requests per second, which Baidu, Yandex, and Google can generate when combined together. You really need a robust solution. So in order to implement the crawling for such scale, we needed to develop a custom solution, which was based on a Golang, supported multi-threading, and was able to produce a very efficient and very reliable content, the HTML content, to give to our crawlers. And most importantly, we used the disk as our cache storage, So yeah, the performance dropped a little bit now, not 18 milliseconds in response, but 200 milliseconds, but still a very big advantage if you compare it with 80% of successful renderings of RenderTron and so on and so on. So, well, why doesn't it change slides? Well, nothing happens. Can somebody help me and put the next slide in? Pressing the button. Yeah, you see, that's the celebration. How many confetti did we fire? A lot of them. And you see me, that's me standing. You see, I'm throwing the confetti, which has already fallen to the ground. And that's the celebration part of developers. But what about the merchant, which we initially made this product for? Did we met his expectations? Well, turns out we did, because the conversion rate increased by 26%, speaks by itself, don't forget to think, and the average order value increased by 6%, and then you add the sessions amount increased by 25%, especially the organic traffic, which somehow with PWA always is a thing, and then you add this cost efficiency value, which you really made the single team for web, iOS, and Android, not the team, but also the source code. This really makes your product really efficient, but should you stop there? Of course not. It's to be continued, because the Technodome has other business requirements which we still need to implement. The phase 2 of the project could have more exciting features to come, and the PWA optimizations and SEO optimizations, like, for example, scoring the 100 in the Google Lighthouse audit. Well, as the previous speech mentioned, it's important to leverage images properly in order to do this. But despite what solution they advised, we are planning to simply use the proxy servers, like simple proxies that would just integrate between you and your images, you and the images where they are stored, and generate the VPs on the fly. Yes, that might be not efficient, but that might be inefficient in terms of sizing, etc., but it will still make the job possible, the job done, and it will be very cost efficient, because you're simply proxying it and then caching by your normal caching solution. Well, the code splitting, yeah, that's another thing we already made but haven't yet released to Technodome. That's in core, but not in the Technodome. So multiple optimizations which we did for a core are now have to be made in the Technodome back. But overall, we are pretty happy with what we got. Are you guys happy? Are you guys excited to try it? I'm waiting for your questions. Well, thanks guys, that's it.